Excuse me, ladies. You want to take it? I'm coughing.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another fresh episode of The Universal Lens. I promise you, John is not dying. I am your co-host, co-pilot, Henry Beltra. We're switching things up today because I don't want John to die.
I'm sorry about that. As I was about to talk, something went to the back of my throat and just went the other way. I am John Emilio.
So, by the way, there is no other way. There's only one way.
I go up, I guess. I don't know.
You have two ways?
No one way.
Wait, you're an alien.
No. So,
well, it's called an esophagus. Esophagus.
Yes.
At the top, we have a larynx. Right? Please tell me I'm right. Just go with it. Go with it.
I have no idea. I know the larynx is there, yeah, but
there's no wishbone.
No, I have a crooked esophagus. Not that anybody gives a crap, but I do. I have a bend in my esophagus. That's why I drink. You notice when I eat, I drink a lot.
Well, you know what?
Because in the water, sometimes when I'm eating certain things, it feels like it just takes a little bit longer to get past. So I wash it down. I had an endoscopy done years ago.
Is that why you're gassy?
Well, everybody knows, but yes, I'm a little gassy. No, I do. I tend to be a little gassy
because I have a crooked nose,
and that makes you gassy.
Yes, it does.
All right.
Yes, it does.
I have a. Now that you say it, I do notice that. Yeah. I have a deviated septum. Anything else we could talk about today?
Well, let me tell you what.
Does anybody have hemorrhoids?
You know what? I don't, but I did for a moment.
I remember we talked about it on air,
and I wonder what the hell happened to them because they're not there anymore.
They go away.
They went away.
Like your thoughts go away, so do your hemorrhoids eventually.
That's fantastic.
Wow, we're off to a blazing start for episode 54. I can tell you that right now.
Blazing saddle.
I start by coughing my eyes out, and then we're talking about esophagus, noses, and hemorrhoids. All right. Anywho,
this is like going to the gym.
Let's do that one again.
You ever go to the? Oh, well, you're a gym. I mean,
I'm not a gym rat, so don't even say it.
You're not a gym goer, but you're an exerciser.
I'm a walker. Yeah, I'll do my 2, 3, 4 miles a day for sure.
And you know what? This will apply. This will apply. So I'm a gym goer. I love gym. There are days that you just don't feel it.
Oh, but that's
you just don't feel it, and you're like,
you know what the funny part is? Those are the days sometimes where you get the most out of you. You get the most out of your workouts.
You beat me to it. That's exactly right. Yeah. Like those are some of the best workouts you had. You're like, I'm not expecting much here. Listen, I usually do about 200. You'll fly through. You're like, what the hell?
But even if you're not flying through, even if you feel like you're struggling through them, it's where you get the most. You get okay for a workout, for people who work out, to use that terminology, you get the most gains out of it.
Yeah.
On those days, when something's a struggle, whether it's physical struggle, whatever, when something you're struggling with to get through it, is when you're actually accomplishing a lot and gaining a lot through it. If something is really easy, are you really and it's nothing wrong if something's easy, means you've gotten really well at it maybe, but your gains have stopped. So like when you're in the midst of something and it feels like it's like I'm doing this again and again, like whether you're working out or if in the world of mindfulness, if a thought comes up that doesn't play nice and it just keeps coming back and it's kind of, riding you because of one reason or another, and it wants to keep you there, and you feel like you're accepting and accepting and accepting and accepting and accepting and accepting and accepting. That uncomfortable struggle, I mean, I hate to use the word struggle, but that more difficult, more tedious kind of exercise that you're going through, you're actually getting, like I would always say when a thought would come up, and actually I didn't say it, we were talking about something, I didn't say this like with what I told you about before, but now that I'm talking about it, it's true. And I would say to myself a lot in the past, time to go to work. I go, this is where the work is done, because this is where I'm being tested, quote unquote, right? I'm being tested. It's time. I don't feel like doing this workout, but I'm gonna do my sets, right? Okay, let's go. And it's like, this is where the work is done. Meaning this is where you get those gains. This is where you get those that experience and you get more of that, not expertise, but you sharpen that skill more and more. Do. So when you're being tested, and I use the word tested just because it's a word that resonates with me, but when you're being tested with something, it's time, it's where you sharpen your skills. If you apply and you practice, the world of mindfulness or presence, or, if you're in therapy, whatever tools you've been given, like for OCD, you have tools, and they're mindfulness tools, by the way. It's this is where the work is done. And it makes the times where the mind quiets down, then you're like, so your hard workout that you might have had this past weekend makes your workout tomorrow, if you're feeling great, feel that much easier. And like, okay, this is good. All right, this is much better. This is much better. But if you don't have those little struggles in between sometimes where you sharpen those skills, I mean, look, I can't say that there's not a spiritual teacher in the world, or a Dr. Joe Dispenza or a Tony Robbins who doesn't have a bad day or a bad couple of days where something is riding them, or they're feeling flat, or their emotions just kind of roller coaster a little bit. It's human nature.
Yep.
But if they apply their tools, people on the outside might not realize it, and they work through it because they're living their life. They're engaging their life instead of retreating from their life, right? They're going to the gym instead of saying, it's too fucking hard, I'm not in the mood, my ass is dragging, I'm going home. They go to the gym. They go to the mental gym. You go to the physical gym. It's that same thing.
Yeah, there's what that saying is, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, we said that last week.
Right?
Right, yeah.
And I think there's another guy, I don't know if we ever mentioned him on the show, but there's another self-development guru, Brian Tracy. You ever heard of him?
No, I mean, you got names. You pull names out of the sky.
Well, these are all people that I love,
Oh, it's great. No.
This, and I mentioned one to you earlier, Wayne Dwyer.
Yeah.
I love learning.
You're a plethora of knowledge.
No, I love learning. Yeah. And
there's nothing wrong with that. That's great.
But I love learning about things that I want to learn about.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
like everything else, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to want to, if I'm not interested in trimming bonsais, I'm not going to read about it.
I've watched quite a few videos on that. I have my real bonsai upstairs.
But you see, it interests you, so you learn.
Yeah, I just don't want to kill the thing either.
Hopefully I don't kill me in the process. But Brian Tracy, a guy who does a lot, well, yeah, he's still alive, but he's older. He's very old. Actually, he's not doing too well right now, but he's old. He's an old man.
Bob Tracy?
Brian Tracy.
I'm sorry, Brian. Hopefully you'll get better, bud.
He's got a real buttery voice. And in the past. Now he's older. Okay. But he's written I don't know how many gazillion books, and he's in this space.
Yeah.
Mindfulness is a big part of what he doesn't call it up by name. But he's
but it's the secret ingredient that they use.
100%.
They all everybody uses it. That's a secret ingredient around anybody who does any kind of self-help, transformation. It might not be a prominent ingredient, but it's always in there, right? Whether it's financial, career, health. Then if you go into actual mental health stuff, then mindfulness becomes a huge proponent. But it's in all of those.
Yeah,
it's in all of those.
I would say he did great in career advice, and he was one that kept saying, be comfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable because that's where you make gains.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
That's where the progress is made. And he says, and the only way to make that progress is through self-discipline. So he mentions how important self-discipline is. And when you hear him make a case for self-discipline, you're like, I agree. It's doing the thing that you know has to be done, but
like being willing to do it.
Right. But I just don't. It's easy to be.
The body wants to always default to, which then influences the mind too. This is hard. This is too much. Let's go into a more low level, just chill, relax kind of state. And there's nothing wrong with that. The body does need rest, and the mind needs rest too. But like that's a default where the body wants to go to a lot. And if you're not careful, what it does is if the body will influence the mind because we feel something and creates a thought. And that thought is going to be like, oh, I don't want to do it today. I don't want to do my exposures today. They're too hard. I'm feeling good. My mind's not screwing with me. I'm not going to do them today because I don't want to poke the bear. Okay. Don't poke the bear.
But yeah, you're retreating.
So you're retreating. So that calm feeling you have is causing you to retreat and not continue to work on something because you don't want to feel uncomfortable. So in the world of obsessive compulsive disorder, one of the biggest things where people have major relapses and when I say relapse, it's not having the thought, it's actually going down the rabbit hole again with them.
Right.
Is because when they're feeling calm, they back the hell off completely. And all they don't realize is that they're actually playing right into the hands of it. It says, I'm not poking you right now. For whatever reason, their mind isn't giving them an intrusive thought. But once it does, and now the last 4 months you haven't been practicing mindfulness or awareness. Maybe you're not doing meditation.
No meditation.
Or you're not doing whatever exercises you had that your therapist might have prescribed, might have told you to do and said, read this every so often, do this, continue to do. And then you wean off of that. You get to a certain point with you. But just because so I was saying, that's where those relapses happen, is because as soon as they start feeling better, immediately people stop because they're not willing to feel uncomfortable anymore. And what happens is when that thought does come up, they're not prepared to properly navigate it anymore.
Yep.
Because I can guarantee you one thing in life, and this is coming from somebody who's experienced a lot of things in this realm. Your mind will. I don't care if you're Eckhart Tolle, you're Sadhguru, you're Jesus Christ, you're Bob Proctor, you're Dr. Joe Dispenza, you're Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins. I don't care who you are. Your mind will, at some point during a normal week, your mind will start throwing shit at you again. Oh, yeah. And if you're not prepared for it, you're going to buy into it and you're going to go. So practicing is not, so doing the work when you feel, when it feels like it's even harder is more important. And then when it's easy, you continue doing the work anyway, because that's how you keep yourself, I don't want to say ready to go, but you keep yourself sharper or more in tune with,
Okay, so you hate my military examples.
I don't hate them. I try to make sure that you don't frame yourself to believe them. Right. No, but now you don't.
At this level,
no, you're good.
You know how.
Now you could. So you have my permission to use.
Right,
it.
That's what I'm saying. We are always manning the campfire throughout the night. If we let those guards go to bed, that's when.
Yeah, okay, that's not a bad one.
That's not a bad one. That's when the bad guys are going to come in. Yeah. But if you're constantly at the post, you're safe. You're safer.
You're safer. You're safe. You
might have a skirmish.
You're prepared. That's it. You might prepared.
You might have a skirmish. Yeah. But your chances of winning are great.
But even though it's just like I know I'm beating a dead horse with him. but I always say it. And this is me. Maybe it's just me. I know, maybe language doesn't affect you as much, and that could be.
It's just you.
We're all different. It might be just me.
It's just him.
Because I know if I talk a certain way, eventually my behavior starts following those patterns.
Good call.
My behavior.
It's not just you.
So my behavior. So if I start saying the word "fuck you" OCD or no anxiety disorder, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna beat this, and I start to get all.
Yeah, it's not just
because John used to have a Hulk mode too back in the day, and I start getting all Hulk mode. I feel good for 5 minutes because I feel like I get a little bit of adrenaline rush from it, but it doesn't do nothing. All it does for me is I start to make dumb bad choices because of it. So but again, I try to be very conscious of the words I use for the specific reason. I know they frame the way my mind thinks. It's just the way these two things are connected for me. If I say something enough, my mind starts to give me those thoughts then. Not like, John, it means if you say you're going to go rob a bank, you're going to rob a bank. No, dweebs, I'm not going to do that. I'm trying to say, but if I use thoughts words like, this is hard, this is difficult, we must overcome, we must beat this, I'm going to fight this. I actually start taking a defensive mode, and that doesn't behoove me whatsoever.
So I think the beauty of this is I'm never above anything, but I know what I'm doing. In other words,
I know. That's why I said
specifically making reference as a tongue in cheek, right? So this is like a joke within a joke. So I totally, but because by the way, words do influence, because words work on a subconscious level.
Yeah, it's more for them, not for you. I mean, I wasn't saying for you, but
words work on words tend to kind of latch onto the subconscious.
They frame. Yes, they do. Like they latch onto the subconscious, and the subconscious are those thoughts that are bubbling up underneath that start like a volcano eventually pop up, and they start influencing, if you're not careful, the way you think and act. Not the way you think, but the way choices you might make. And
without mentioning specifics, So the names of the the names of the innocent were protected. I forget what the beginning of that show. You ever seen the FBI shows or the names?
The A-Team?
No. It's like a current affair.
The names and identities of the
have been
changed
for their protection. There you go. So I'm not going to mention identities, but there was a moment.
Should I be concerned?
there was a moment in my life where I was listening to somebody like use me as a therapist. So they would spew, and I was an idiot, right? So I want to help fix. And as you were kind of alluding to an episode or two ago, you don't have to be a fixer, right?
No.
You just
you have to be a listener,
right? At this point,
and a reflector.
It's the blind talking to the blind. It was a blind talking to a guy with one eye. How about that? And so the blind guy's talking to the guy with one eye, and the guy with one eye is like, yeah. Well, how about this? Yeah. Well, how about this? Very unproductive conversation. Very.
We've all been in them.
But it took place often. The point I'm trying to make is about what you're saying about words, and so certain things would latch on to my subconscious, and I would find myself that I didn't have the issues that this person was talking about. I now was starting to experience some of the issues that this person was.
They became like little triggers for you, maybe.
And I said, "What?" And I noticed it. At least I was aware enough with that one eye to notice it. I'm like, "Okay, well, we're done with this exercise." Because I wanted to help, but no, it was literally tearing me down. In other words, I added a new problem for myself.
Because you were identified with being the problem solver for them.
Perhaps.
You were identified with this personality, and that's why even when you're trying to help somebody, like, and you do, we all try to help people. Obviously we do.
Because we're good natured.
When I talk to somebody, my goal is to help that person. My goal, now, you can give somebody advice if they're willing to listen for certain things, especially if it's something you have experience in. So, like, I'm going for life coaching classes, right? And one of the things that they tell us, which is actually great advice, they go, we don't give advice, right? We make the person come up with everything. They tell us the topic, and we ask them what kind of outcome do they want? What kind of measure for that outcome do they want? What kind of activities do they want to do during the week to help get that measure for that outcome, right? And all we do is ask more questions and more questions. And we just, we're pulling the scarves out of the hat.
But it comes out of you.
We just keep pulling them out. But using powerful questioning, we pull it out of you. Where was I going with this?
That you don't.
I go off on tangents. I swear I should be on. I should be tested for ADHD one day.
That you're not the fixer. You're
not the fixer. You want to be a reflector for them, right? You want to be a listener for them. We're not, because my identity. If you identify yourself as a helper, you're going to want to give advice all the time, like a fixer. We call it a fixer. You're going to want to give advice and advice and advice and advice. Now you take this personality of being this fixer, and you want to give everybody advice about everything that they want to do, because I got to fix everything for everybody who comes in touch with me. I think and this is how I guess therapists are, and people who are in this realm, they're active listeners who hear what you're saying and allow you to make the decisions and to come up with under their guidance. So they could be like that. We say a mirror of reflection, where you start noticing things just by talking with them, but they're not telling you exactly what to do. Now, if you have advice in that specific area, then you can tell the person, hey, listen, this is something I've dealt with. Can I give you some advice? And if they're open for it, they're like, yeah, sure. Okay, well, when I experienced this is what, this is something that I did that helped me. But now at that point, they're open to hearing your advice after they've kind of, vomited a bunch of stuff to you and told you, and maybe you've got them to commit to whatever. Like I worked with a couple of younger kids who were experiencing OCD and thoughts, and I'm more of I wasn't a coach back then, but just as a mentor, because I had gone through it, and people were like, hey, listen, can you just talk to him?
Sure.
He's doing therapy, but he's having a hard time. And I talked to them, and I would tell them, I said, what have you learned? And they would tell me, I kind of learned this, I kind of learned that. I'm like, all right, so you see what they said about that and what you did there? It's not relating with it. It's watching it. It's taking a breath and realizing it. I said, can I give you something that I did? Okay, when I went through this is something I used to do. And now they're like, yeah, John, tell me. I mean, we've connected. So, so the advice could come at the end, but if we try to give it all the time, and I was like this, I was like Handy Manny. I had a tool belt and I wanted to fix everything. Let's go. Henry, you got a problem? Can I fix it?
Yeah.
Adam, you got a problem? Can I fix it? Lou, you got a problem? Can I fix it? Andre, you got a problem? Can I fix it? And those are people that we've known. I'm like, what can I help you guys with? What do we have to do? Instead of me trying to fix everybody's, and they didn't have problems with these people, but I just used their names. But instead of trying to fix everybody's problem, you allow them to fix it themselves, and you don't take that burden on now. Like, okay, I gave them all this advice. I told them all this because now your wheels are burning about doing all this stuff. And like you said, and all of a sudden I'm having like these symptoms,
right?
Quote unquote. Where the fuck did they come from?
Yeah.
Because you've identified with being the person who's got to, where when you're an active listener, it's kind of like you're not absorbing it.
Yeah. The mistake I made was that my heart wants to help, but I am not a pro. I'm not even a medium. Absolutely. I'm not anything.
The heart has nothing to do. Yeah, the heart.
So you want to help.
Sure. It's hard not to be the fixer.
Yeah, and like I told you before, this was me almost my entire life. I've been a good listener. Mm-hmm. I've been that guy who you can listen to. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I listen and I hear. And if I find, again, because it's natural to me, if I find a point of connection, I go, dude, I've done that. It happened to me and you. When you talked to me, I was like, John, me too. That's what made me a good listener. But it just so happened that I also was suffering, you know what I mean? Like,
and I was dying to talk I was just dying to talk. I just wanted to vomit back then.
Well, it was your stage. That was the stage you had to go through.
Yeah. I just wanted to vomit.
And thank God you went. Thank God you went through it.
Yeah, I couldn't wait for whatever it was, Monday night or Wednesday night practices, because I knew me and Henry were going to go for a walk around Thompson Park, and I was going to get my hour, I was going to get my I was going to get a pseudo therapy session. And this is before I saw it. I hadn't talked to anybody about this, and I would just talk to him, and he didn't even know really the 100% of it. He just knew the beginnings of it, but it was, for me, it was an outlet. So and he would listen.
But you know what? I want to I want to go off on a branch here.
Go back. We don't do that on this show.
Go back on those days.
Yeah.
And think about what a clueless, untrained listener I was.
Yeah.
But I think back on my clueless state, and I didn't give bad advice in the sense. Think about this.
No.
I said the helicopter view.
Yes. There's the people in the room.
And the people in the room.
Yeah.
I wasn't far off. Like, this is me.
Because it's and that advice you gave, why? Because it was a world you've experienced.
Yeah.
And you had experience in that world, right? You've talked to maybe people in the past, or you've gone through stuff and you've experienced it, and you have this advice that had basis to it. It had knowledge to it. It had firsthand experience, and that's useful. That's when something's useful to somebody, right? When you have that firsthand experience, instead of saying, well, this is how you should do it. It's like, well, listen, this is what I remember, John, when I was doing this, I would do this helicopter view. And I remember I would use that specifically. I'd be in the shower, I'd get a intrusive thought, and I'd be like, oh, I feel like I would feel it's coming. And I would say to myself, I'm going to take a helicopter. And I would feel myself rising above and watching the thought. And then I would watch it float away. And I would just stay there in presence. And so though it helped because it's something that you had done and it worked in this specific arena. Yeah. Right? It worked in that specific arena. But when you're a fixer, sometimes you just take the hammer out and you want to fucking fix everything.
I was listening to you to be a fixer.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I wanted to help you fix. And anybody I listened to, even to this day, except differently. Now it's different. But I was a fixer. I want to see you well. I want to see you go, I don't know what it was, but I'm great. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, everybody would love to see that. I mean,
but it's funny we mentioned the old, because I wonder if you did this back in your day. This is good. I like this conversation right here. So, in my 20s, I'm in my mid 20s, and I'm handling a lot of work. Okay, my career is like booming. So, I am not aware of what's going on around me, in the sense I don't know what triggers my anxiety. My anxiety just comes. All right, that's how it is. I don't know if you were able to pinpoint your OCD.
No. So when I was young, first it was anxiety. I would have anxiety attacks, and I had no idea where they were coming from, and nobody around me knew. And unfortunately, there was.
So I didn't know either.
Yeah.
All I know is I'm feeling anxious, and I can't stop it, and I want to stop this feeling. So I've always been a gym guy, I in and out of the gym, struggling with my weight. And I'm buying protein powders and creatine. And, I've always been a gym bro. And I saw in GNC they had something called anxiety. It's called Anxiety Ease or Anxiety Ease All, something around anxiety easing. I'm like, what the hell? I'm gonna try it. I bought it. I brought it to work, and at that moment, I was surrounded. It was a family business, so I had my cousin sat next to me, and I said, "I know you're an anxious one too," and I was like, "I got this. I'm gonna try it." I had this anxiety ease, and I took it. In my mind, it's working. I don't know what it is, but it's working. It's not bad. It's pretty good. I don't know if it works, but tomorrow I'll take it again. And I don't know what is it, every 12 hours. Every 12 hours. That's how I'm gonna take it. I was taking it. And I was like showing off about it. I was like, yeah, look, this thing works. It's a bunch of bullshit. But like I was searching I didn't realize that been searching my whole life how to deal with anxiety.
Sure.
How to address it. Like to the point that I'm buying these freaking pills. And I think if you notice that people around us, they all do, right? So I took those pills, but people take other pills, drinks, other types of drugs. It's everywhere because we're all searching for this. How do I control what's going on?
You don't,
right? How do I get past this? So I hate to say it, but we're not pushing dope. We're pushing mindfulness here. And I'm telling you that this is the way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are products out there that could help with some physical symptoms, but they don't resolve the issue. They don't. I don't care if it's marijuana. I don't care what you want to take. So in the moment, yes. If you smoke, and I'm not anti-marijuana. I don't use it personally right now, but I'm not anti-marijuana. Same, right? So if you want to smoke every night, that's fine.
Actually, I'm a big proponent.
Okay. And that's great. But so I've had people who've asked me about it. Have you ever, and would you recommend this person go up? I always start with one thing. Even if I'm a close person, I go, listen, I'm not a doctor. So I can tell you, I always tell B in my experience, right? And therapy, I was actually told, I brought this question up once in therapy. And here we go, another tangent. I brought this question up in therapy. And I asked I was looking at my therapist and I said, hey, listen, I said, what about marijuana? And her answer was, she goes, everybody's different. She goes, some people it helps. Some people it makes them more anxious. I was like, all right. She goes, why don't we do an experiment? She goes, if you're up to it, if you're not, that's fine. She goes, if you're up to it, give it a shot. See how it feels. Right. And she was using it as an exposure for me, for me to,
get out of your zone.
Get out of my zone. To see, okay, what happens if I do get anxious, right? And again, it's always my choice, right? It was a question I brought up, and it was my choice to do it. Right. It's not like she said, hey, I'm going to prescribe you. Right. No, they don't do that. But, I forgot if I did or I didn't. I didn't have it. For me, it didn't do one thing one way or the other. I think I probably did back then, and then it didn't do anything one way or the other for me. For some people, it might help them a little bit, but it doesn't. But even then, it's a minor crutch to maybe help you, but the true prescription is if you don't learn to watch your thoughts, if you don't learn to realize you're not your mind and you're not your thoughts, you're playing a game of cat and mouse. And the mouse is always going to poke out of another hole eventually. So the way to win the game, and this is something we always say in therapy, the way to win the game is not play it at all. You don't play the game. You don't play the cat and mouse game. Right. I'm not playing cat and mouse. I'm just going to watch. I'm not going to play the game. I'm just going to watch. When the mouse wants to pop out, I see the mouse. I'm not going to chase it, right? It's not playing the game. So yeah, I mean, like you were just saying, mindfulness, whether it's through meditation, through it's just doing mindful activities during the day, is a great way to just disconnect, disidentify with your mind, your thoughts, and be able to watch what's going on in your mind, especially if you're an anxious person. Like the non-anxious mind might hear what we're saying and now not really understand it that much. But the anxious mind realizes that it's the back door that's behind you and you don't know it's there. It's the way through, not the way out. It's the way through, right?
right before the show, we both shared stories of how
anxiety has a way of showing its ugly face all the time, no matter what.
I mean,
doesn't matter how far along you are on this, it's going to the mouse wants to pop out.
And the whole marijuana thing is basically food versus nutrition. So marijuana will provide food, but it won't provide nutrition.
I like that.
And
I like that.
Mindfulness provides nutrition.
Sure.
Full panel of vitamins, minerals, protein, carbs. I mean, it gives you what you need to stay at a nice,
it gives useful... you it gives you what you need for you to be able to navigate whatever does come up in life, because mindfulness doesn't solve your problems.
Right, because
it doesn't, right?
No.
It doesn't solve your issues.
No, matter of fact, no, nothing's going to solve it. But
well, yeah, I mean, but it helps you be a better.
We were talking earlier.
Yeah.
The whole affirmation thing, where again, we go back to the other episode of just because I wrote down that I want to have $1 million doesn't mean that $1 million is going to appear here within the next 24 hours.
No.
But
that'd be nice.
The act of writing it down, and the act of writing it down in the tense that you already did it, and writing down how grateful you are that you have accomplished it, that act ingrains in you a certain feeling.
Yeah, sure.
And it ingrains a certain pattern of thought that you want, because you want to experience that feeling. So now, if you wrote that you wanted to lose 20 pounds, you're not, you're probably not going to eat the cheesecake. Even though you ate, I just pasta with fresh mozzarella, oh my God. But if the cheesecake no, I'm not going to do a cheesecake. Why? Because
you realize it's going
to, yeah. It's these little changes that you do, and then the next thing you know, in a year, like, you realize, hey, I did lose 10 pounds this year. It wasn't 20, but it was 10. And you went the right way.
Would you have lost those 10 pounds the other way? Maybe, maybe not.
Who knows?
But you're in a better state. Mentally, you're in a better state. You feel better about yourself in general, because you're not beating yourself up every time, and you're making better decisions more times than not. Right? Better decisions more times than not. Yeah.
I think what ends up happening is, in this practice, and I could be wrong, I could be falsely convincing myself. I'm open to that. But I think you end up learning more about how the human brain, or how the human
mind
works.
What do you mean? I understand what you're saying, but what do you mean? How are you falsely convincing yourself about that?
I don't know, because I'm not a psychologist.
Well,
I'm not a psychiatrist, but I pick up.
Oh, you're talking about on a like neuroscience level, or on a mental level?
For example, I never went to school for psychology, psychiatry, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But as I go in my journey in mindfulness, and as I learn more and I add different plugins for my experience, I feel as if I kind of understand better how the human mind.
110%.
Right?
Because you're getting what we call insights. So you see your own, and that's how you know you have awareness. When you notice your behaviors, there's awareness. When you don't notice your behavior, you're unconscious. You're on autopilot. When you notice your behaviors, like we've said this on the show many times, and you've had experiences and I've had experiences where I'm like, I see how I would have answered that question previously. I see the urge to act the same way. But now I'm seeing it and I choose another direction. Is that what you're talking about? Oh. So then that's 100% absolutely accurate. You're not convincing yourself of nothing. That's your mind trying to convince you not to. It doesn't work, this bullshit. Don't listen to him, Henry. He doesn't know what he's talking about. You listen to me. No, absolutely. Those insights are key. Those insights are what it's about.
Imagine that if we're at a dinner, which we have been, if we're at a dinner and I have a response that the old me would have said, but the new me says, that is neither productive nor all it's doing is you're just going backwards. If you mention if that comes out of your mouth, it's no good for anybody.
Agreed.
But specifically for you.
Agreed.
So I won't say it. I will discard it because it's not. So just that little act, which eventually you learn. And by the way, I slip up. I do slip up every once in a while.
Are you human?
I'll blurt one out. Of course. Yeah.
Until as long as you're alive, you're going to continue being human.
Yeah.
So
like I'm currently in a fight with my wife. Currently. Because I broke.
Erica, it's his fault no matter what. You remember that.
Because
I love Tris leche cake.
I'm trying to figure that out. Trying to work that out. But like literally I do that and I say, well, if I say this, is this gonna be adding? No. So shut up. But yeah, so like this, you learn so much. Here, I learned this today too. I learned this is I think this is the difference between knowledge and wisdom here.
You learn what, that Erica's always right?
No. I'm gonna tell you something about the real estate world and about psychology real quick. So I was at an open house today with a very seasoned veteran in the real estate world, right?
Okay.
Cute old lady. I love her. She's great, right? And I said, I'm here to learn wisdom. We're talking. So we're talking about my personal house, and we're talking about how my realtor was telling me, well, the house has been on the market for more than 30 days now. So this is around the time where we might want to revisit a price reduction. Now, obviously, think about it, right? Realtor to client is talking about a price reduction. And the client is not going to want to reduce the price.
No, I would think not. But...
So wisdom, today she goes, well, first of all, I think that those conversations can't be really approached that way. And I go, okay, talk to me. Was it Obi-Wan Kenobi? And she says,
talk to me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
All I do is I like to say to the client, hey, we've had 30 people in here and none of them made offers. She goes, I wonder why that is. And then the client will come up with excuse A, B, or C. Could be. And if any one of those excuses is dropping the price, if you're open, I'm open. It came from.
Did you see what she did?
Oh, she did exactly what he uses it.
Yeah, she basically coached it out of him.
Yeah,
or that person coached it out of the client. She knew from her experience that it's probably time to do this. But if I come out and just tell you what to do, you may not be receptive. You resist. Wow, this is great practice for my class too. You resist it. But as soon as you were saying, I'm like, holy shit, she's coaching this person into agreeing with them, but it's going to be their fucking idea.
But how the hell did you recognize it so quick? Because you know the practice. In other words,
that's great.
If you're blind and unconscious,
she's smart, by the way, this lady.
Very smart.
Yeah. She's a wise sage.
She's a good seed. She's one of these good people. Like she even told me, she goes,
that's.
Yeah, she even told me, she goes, I know you're with. And she goes, I know you're with Tom, and you're with, but you need anything, you let me know. She's one of those.
Yeah,
she's a real one.
She's a nice person. Yeah,
super
good person.
I truly enjoyed my time with her today, and just anything she needs, I'll be right there for her too, because that's part of this is actually segue. I heard it being said many times, but give more than what you expect to receive.
Oh yeah, there's been different variations of that over time. I've heard that, yeah.
And we all can give in different ways. So, this woman is the one responsible for the toy drive. She does a toy drive. I think she does a food drive. So again, how can I give? So there she was, struggling with, you don't lift a finger. I'm going to do things for you. I want to help you. She goes, like, no, get out of here. Like she's telling me no. But that's another key to this is give more of yourself. Give, if you can help, do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's it's very cathartic for you, for you, the person who's doing it. It's great. That's why I love doing volunteer work for that reason. 100%. Not because I want it on my tombstone someday. John volunteered at here, or John volunteers here, John. No, because it's knowing that you're helping somebody. The markings of a great human being is knowing you're helping somebody, and that's and the knowing that you're helping somebody is the repayment that you want.
It's synergistic. It's hard to explain unless you've been there.
Like, I know I'm helping this person. It's not about me. I know that I helped this person because I know if I was in that position, you know what it's like to have somebody put their arm out to help you, right? And I think there's no greater gift in humanity is than putting out your hand to help somebody or giving your time to help somebody or help something. I think I think it's phenomenal. It's just a great way to live if more people did it.
Yeah, but there's, I follow a lot of these real estate guys, they made it. And there's one guy who I've been following for a few years, and you can see his trajectory. And somebody was talking to him the other day, and he likes to help people. He likes to help newbies. And he says, you know what I like most about you? And the guy's like, what? He goes, you've made it to the top of the mountain, but you make sure to put the ladder back down so that somebody else climbs up, and you take and you put it back down, somebody else can climb back up. He goes, that is what I like about you.
Yeah. It's not about being at the top by yourself.
Yeah. And so I thought that was cool. And quite frankly, that's probably one of the best mindsets you can ever have, is that one. And that is stemming from a grateful mindset, because if you're grateful for what you have instead of bitching and moaning for what you don't have, because that's easy to do.
Sure. That's what that's the ego would love to do that. To have to justify why you're better than that person or why you have less than that person.
And I'm going to say a cliche statement that you love about me. In 2023,
you only have another
few weeks,
couple weeks, 14, 15, 16 days, whatever today is.
In 2023, it's so easy to bemoan what you don't have.
I think in 2022 it was too.
Yeah. So like every year that passes, it gets worse and worse because of this guy.
Yes, in 2024 it'll get even worse. And once AI takes full effect, I think it'll. We're not made to survive. And this could be a topic for another day. But we are not created. To survive as a species. I don't believe so. At least, I mean, whatever. What do I know? But I don't believe we're built to survive as a species, to work well with the kind of technology that we're creating.
Well, since
we're a farm plow. What do they call it?
Agrarian.
No, when you go out and you have to, back in the day, we'd have to go out to find food and shelter. But there was a term that they would use.
Hunter-gatherer.
Hunter-gatherer. We're hunter-gatherers, and we're community. We're a community animal. We're like wolves or hound dogs. They love to be in packs. We're the same way. We love a community. We enjoy being part of a community. I think as we go along. Anyway, again, different. We could do that for our next show. We'll just leave it at that. But
no, but you know how I took you back to my mid-20s, and and you could also think back of times where I'm sure along the way you've thought of how to combat your thoughts. Somewhere
when I was younger,
between 0 to 40s.
Oh my God, yes.
Right.
That's all I did for most of my life was combat my thoughts.
Right, but so. Remember, and I told you, and I made reference to when I gave you blind advice, it wasn't so bad. But what I'm getting at is this is going to be the downfall of us, and this is really hurting our psyche. But you remember back in the day when Sports Illustrated was just a sports magazine
and swimsuit issue.
No.
Before that,
Sports Illustrated was just a sports magazine, but then the swimsuit issue came out, and that was a gimmick.
Yeah,
right.
It worked, by the way.
So that had what I call mainstream circulation. So it wasn't like a Playboy,
No, not at all.
So like a Playboy would be like the young teenage kid go get a Playboy. It's not a circulation. So it's not like moms and dads. There's no Playboy on the kitchen counter, but there was a Sports Illustrated.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? And I said back then, this sucks for women, because I do find these women beautiful, but the average woman is going to look at it and go, I'm not a size 2. And I feel like shit.
I mean, not to, what the Sports Illustrated actually did? They did do a plus size.
Oh yeah. Now.
Now.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about back then.
Yeah. Back then.
Yeah.
But that was the beginning of this, because now,
which was beautiful too. I mean, every shape and size is beautiful for a person.
That's the point.
I agree. Yeah.
That's the point. But we know this. But when you're a woman, not that I am, not that you are, but when you're a woman and you're looking at these magazines, and you're thinking that that's what your husband wants, and you're thinking that that's what every guy wants, because look how many they sell. That's all we talk about. oh my God, did you see? I forget Rod Stewart's wife and Cindy Crawford, and the list goes on of all the beautiful women that were on those things. Our wives feel like, well, I'm not that. And that was the beginning. Because now you go on Instagram, Facebook, you name it. It's Sports Illustrated is a thing it's like a newborn baby compared to this. This is now, there's no way to get around it. So you always feel less than.
Sure.
So that was the woman example. Now the guys always feel less than because there's 100 trillionaires all over the place, and they're sipping their Mai Tai. And
that's why you have to use social media as a tool, and so people who do it for business purposes use it as a tool mostly. But unfortunately, the majority of the people who just go through it, they see all this stuff, and hopefully they don't. But I honestly think it's. I don't know if I'm right about this. I mean, I'm talking from my personal experience with my kids, at least from what I understand and I know about my kids, because I'm pretty close with both my kids. And their social media interactions aren't a lot, but they do have, whether my daughter is TikTok, my son's big on Instagram, but he doesn't post much, but he's more for the sports and stuff. I don't think they get influenced by it as much where they have that. And I'll say, I think it's, and I don't know how we ended up here. I think it's if you teach if the person who's using that device has awareness, it won't affect them in that way. Even though the thought might automatically come up because we're humans, they kind of shift over and they realize not to get attached to that thought because it's not beneficial. But for young kids who don't have, maybe their parents aren't very aware or they don't have a very conscious household, very identified, very one way, they might. Those kids might have that. And then adults too. I know our generation was influenced by that because we were like the first teenage, like the first 20s, like that we were in our 20s. Facebook's been around for a long time now. Yep. Like it all started as we started going into our 20s and late 20s. Yep. And we're still, we weren't teenagers, but we're still kind of coming into the world. So I think for us, I think fell victim to that more. And then the young kids below us really fell victim, especially like when they were much younger. You always hear stories of kids cyberbullying and, unfortunately, who's taking their lives because they read all this stuff and they think that they're not worthy or they're not good enough.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Mindfulness will help.
Mindfulness was the antidote to this. And if we, again, percentually, pardon my big vocabulary, percentually speaking. Right? Your chances of the masses falling prey to the cell phone world, the social media world, are much bigger than the family that has mindfulness and has awareness and can be the antidote to this.
Sure.
So you're talking about 9 to 1, if you're lucky about the 1. So it's done a lot of damage, but mindfulness can be that antidote.
110%. Yeah.
And we shared stories before we started. How, like I always said, you're the guru, you're the guy I know. Even the guy I know has to stay sharp because
you practice it every day because your mind is always going to come back in with something at some point. Yeah. And you're either going to play the game with your mind, and some people just continue playing that game with them. But if it's you don't want to, you have a choice. So I mean, it's always going to come in with something or another. Yeah. And people who are wired a certain way are going to be more. They're going to be more easily. They're going to be prey for it more easily. No, I can't think of the word. They're going to be more susceptible to it.
They will fall prey.
They will fall prey. That's what I was trying to get. Yeah. They will fall prey to it.
Yeah.
It's much quicker than somebody who's not.
Your mind will leave the room with a dead little rabbit in his mouth.
Because without those insights, where you're saying you see how your mind works, without those insights, that's what will happen.
Yeah. So there's no substitute for doing the work yourself.
No,
because it's I'm sure it happens to you too. So it's the more you practice, the more honed in you are.
Exactly.
And it's hard to explain to somebody that hasn't even tried. But the more you practice, the more honed in, and the more time the more time invested that you have in, it's like more valuable
Sure.
it becomes.
Absolutely. Then it branches off into every aspect of your life eventually.
Because it's tough to explain. The challenges that I've had this weekend would have been a major hurdle for me months ago. Major. And it's a hurt, I can step over it.
It's still there. It's still something that maybe pops up, but you're in a position where
I can step over it. That's it.
Yeah.
You step over it.
You rise above it, and you watch it, and you understand that there's only so much you can control, and you shift your focus to what you can control, right? And this isn't about everything. We always say this. This isn't about things being peachy keen in life.
No.
It's actually the opposite. It's about it's most useful when things aren't peachy keen in life.
Right. Yeah, because
that's where it shows its true worth. Mindfulness shows its true worth when things aren't going your way in life. Not when things are going your way and everything's easy, and everything's flowing the right way. You have that extra level of, like I said before, that extra level of lightness all of a sudden. Now, not only things going your way, but you're actually watching them go your way. So you're, wow, this is really cool. But this world really shows its benefits when things aren't going your way, when you're dealing with some sort of adversity in your life, whether it's, real life issue, mental health issue, whatever, spouse, whatever.
There's so many.
Pick your issue. I hate the word problem. Pick your issue. Right? So, but yeah, all right. So that was good. We had no idea what we were going to talk about when we ended up hitting a bunch of stuff.
But honestly, the point I want to drive home is this. The same thing we always do is we're here to gloat about mindfulness because of the effects it's had in our life and how we just want to impart it onto anybody that cares to try, anybody that cares to listen, anybody that, I say anybody, but everybody is suffering in some way. Everybody. I don't care who you are. You have hang-ups.
Yeah, but you remember, you choose to suffer.
Well,
the unconscious person is going to be suffering.
Yeah. So what we're here to say is, how we always talk about our show being very niche, in the sense, our show is niche in the sense, who's going to want to, you're going to want to go, see, you're falling asleep.
No.
Okay. But you'd rather go
that was
watch.
Rude. I'm so sorry.
No. I can yawn on command. You rather go watch a sports talk show. You rather go watch a political show. You rather go watch a current events
than this
gossip show.
Sure, most people would. Yeah.
You rather go watch,
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, right? You rather go watch big butts in bikinis, right? John, it's the truth, right? You rather see that than this. Two guys with no visual effects, with no production, with no
beautiful bonsai.
And a beautiful bonsai. But the truth is that our audience is everybody.
Sure, it is.
Truth. The problem is they don't know it.
No, most people don't know it, but our audience is everybody because it's a universal show. It's
a universal issue.
Yeah,
there is nobody that's exempt from intrusive thoughts. There's nobody that's exempt from some feeling of anxiety here and there. And I say here and there because I don't know. Maybe you might be anxious full time. You might be OCD. You might, who knows? You might suffer to the point that you don't even want to leave the house. I don't know. But what we talk about here is basically as helpful as anything can be. And just give it a try. Again, I said it last time, but don't fast forward the guided meditations, because I think if you just listen to the guided meditation, that's going to help you start the tricycle.
I think we have one on the YouTube channel, don't we?
Yep. Yeah, you did one.
Yeah.
And you go on a tricycle, and then you're going to feel good, and then you're going to take off the training wheels. Now you're on a bicycle, and then you're going to feel so good, you're going to pick up speed, and then you don't need us. Now you're doing the guided meditation. And that's time, and that takes time. But by the time you get there, you're going to realize, I got to thank these guys for starting me on a journey, for helping me see something that maybe I didn't even know I needed.
Christmas is coming. I'm just saying. I'm kidding. I like to throw super little jokes in.
Send your gifts too.
Send your gifts too.
John has an Amazon wish.
1 North Pole Drive. Yeah, no, man, it's all good stuff. So I'm hoping that people are listening in and our audience that does come back every week, I'm I'm grateful for them, but I'm hoping that they just keep getting something out of the show when they're listening. And just keep being mindful. That's it, man. And yeah, just life is different if you do. Even when the shit happens, and I will always say that even when the shit storm comes, you could, by the way, you could be an uber successful person in life while being this, quote unquote, mindful, aware. Like, it doesn't mean that you don't go out and have a business. You don't go out and have something in your life. You don't go out and strive towards a career. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means that you're not attached to anything along the way. You have something you want to do and you go and you do it, but you're doing it from a mindful position, which is going to allow you to make better choices. It's going to allow you to think clearer. It's going to allow you to see things clearer in life. And when horrible shit happens in life, because, part of life, you're in a position to navigate through that without being attached and without being driven, dragged down into a grave with it, so to speak. So, thank you. Anything else?
As they said in the movie, True Colors. Frankie, salute.
True Colors.
You ever seen it?
What up?
All right. I don't even know the actors, but it was one of the most incredible scenes you're ever going to see. You're going to freaking die. So there's a black guy who has to color himself as a white guy to fit in the mob.
Really?
Okay.
It's obviously a comedy.
Oh my God.
Oh, okay.
So he is in the main mob boss's office looking for something. I think he's a cop or something. He's looking for something. And he hears that they're coming in. He goes, holy shit, what do I do? Where do I hide? They're going to see me here. Oh my God. So literally the boss is about to come in. So the only thing he can think about is he sets himself up. Imagine there's a black guy dressed as a white guy. He puts his feet up and then he goes, Frankie, salute. The fuck are you doing in my life? It was just.
I'm going to look it up.
If you've never seen it?
Yeah, no, I'm going to look it up after the show.
See it.
I'll look it up after the show.
That's fucking great.
All right. Well, I think we're good. We're getting them out under an hour. My wife told me she was trying to shave a few minutes off. I said, all right. Boss. All right. So, everybody, thank you for coming back. We will do what we usually do now. You're not going to get some background music when we do this and put it here.
Yes.
That'd be nice, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, find that. All right. What?
That would be good.
No, it would be good. I gotta, because I have all the. So last week, if anybody's actually still listening, this is fine. Last week, you saw we put our hands up at one point because I have a bunch of sounds that I could put in.
What?
But I had it in preview mode, not live mode. So you saw us putting our hands up, but you didn't hear it. Unfortunately, it would have been like
the people were clapping. Last week we had an audience.
Yeah, last week we had an audience.
Anyway,
so. Ready? Uh-oh, hold on. I don't want it to come on.
Is the audience here?
I put it on. No, I put it on preview, so even if it comes on, I won't hear it. Okay.
Yeah, we like the type of audience that can come in and come out.
Okay, so you ready? We'll do our meditation and we'll get out of here. Okay, so everybody, thank you for listening in today. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope everybody got some benefit out of it. And let's just close our eyes for a couple of minutes here. We'll try to get you guys in and out pretty quick. Let's just close our eyes for a couple of minutes and just take a couple of deep breaths at your intervals, whatever works for you. And just become aware of whatever you want. It'll be dealer's choice today. You want to become aware of thoughts, feelings. You want to become aware of sensations in your body, of your body itself. Whatever you feel is bubbling up the most. Or it's kind of pulling you in that direction, or you feel you gravitated towards it, then let's just focus on that. Focus on it as you continue breathing with those inhales, a couple of seconds, hold, and then exhale, and no judgment of it. Right? We're not here to judge what that thought is, what that emotion is, what that feeling is. We're just there to notice it and see it. And that's where we realize we're not it. We're not that emotion. We're not that feeling. We're not that thought. If we find that useful, we can apply it to our lives. If we don't, we let it go. Or watch it as it sticks around. Just keep taking those breaths in. You can focus on your breath. That's a great portal into presence also. On the inhale, hold. On the exhale, you can just watch those thoughts or those emotions or feelings float away. It's about shifting, right? We're here to shift our focus to where we want it. Breathe. Let's take 2 more. And last one. And slowly open your eyes. Stick around if you want. Do this for a little bit longer, whatever you like. But we out, and we will catch you guys next time. All right? Peace and love, baby. See you guys soon. Bye. The insights and discussions that we speak about on our show are our own opinions and based on our life experiences. If you or someone in your family or someone you know is suffering and in need of help, please get them that help through medical attention or seeking proper therapy. Again, what we speak about are based on our experiences and not intended to be taken as a form of therapy. Thank you.